Morning, everybody. Daniel Whited here, calling you from the Denver International Airport, and we are headed to Pennsylvania. And the reason is because people want to know, they want to understand what's going on with Sisel International when it comes to health and wellness. Well, we have a doctor on the call today. He's an amazing man, great friend, an awesome buddy that if you ever got in a bind, he's the guy you'd want to get a hold of. And his name's Dr. Kurt Fisnick. Dr. Kurt, welcome to the call this morning, and what a topic do we have? I know nothing about it other than I don't want it. There you go. Doc, welcome to the call, buddy.
Hey, DW, I thought I'd stump you on that one. Sarcopenic obesity, right? And really, probably a great way to describe it is it's a skinny fat person, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, we all know those people. You go up to a gal and you go to shake her hand, or you grab her by the wrist and you go, man, there's no muscle there. It's just all flesh and bone. And so sarcopenic obesity, it affects about 5 to 10% of the population. And what does it really mean? I mean, it's not the fat wiener syndrome, and DW, I know that's what you were thinking, and I wasn't teasing you by saying that's the topic today. But go ahead.
Doc, you're a mess, man. I mean, that is so much. It's just so much fun, and now that you brought that up, we've got family members and people we know that are actually right in the middle of this. They probably don't even know what's going on with their own body. Even in understanding, we have a fix right now. Plus, with what Tom's coming out in the future, we have a double fix for what you're exactly talking about. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's the whole thing. Like, I look back, I've been divorced now for, a dozen years, but my ex-wife, she would jump on the scale and she's, oh, I'm normal weight. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And you look at the BMI schedule, look at the charts, and she was right there, right where she was supposed to be. But you put your hand on her and you could just tell there was no muscle tone there. And so what does it really mean? So sarcopenia really means is that sarco is Greek for flesh, and penia means loss of muscle mass. And it's a natural aging process. When you look at older folks, as they age, they tend to lose muscle mass, and so what happens is that it leads them to have some risk factors that involve a lot of different things, and some of them are they just don't feel like they can do physical activity. Their resistance is way down. They start to have increased risk of having like fractures because they fall down because they don't have a lot of muscle mass, things like that. And so I thought today would be a great day to talk about that. We've been talking about fat people, since the beginning of the year, and we've been talking about how DW and I, using ourselves as the subject of discussion, how he and I are losing weight, and what we're doing, and how we're, balancing the hormones, and how we're going to the gym, and what we're eating, and what kinds of products do we take to lose weight. But, when we start talking about about 10% of the population, it might even be more, that they look at the scales and they go, oh, I'm normal weight, and then you look at their risk of having heart disease, their risk of having cardiovascular disease. It goes up because they don't have enough muscle tone and they don't have enough muscle mass. And so that's really what I thought about today is how do you assess it, number one, and then what do we do about it? And so the easiest way to assess it is that, if you've ever been in for a physical and your doctor or the nurse hands you this hand grip strength tester, and you're testing your strength, and then they're comparing that to kind of an average range for people your age group, like they would compare me to other 54-year-old men, and they go, oh, you're don't have the normal strength. And therefore, now they could do a few more tests, and they could diagnose me with sarcopenic obesity. And so then, we really have to start looking at what can we do to to help combat this. So DW, I thought that would be something. And I know you're getting on an airplane, so I thought we might have a shorter call today. But tell us a little bit as far as like the Sisel products. What do we have that that's in our lineup right now, and what do you know that the rest of us maybe don't know about some future products that are coming? I mean, let's talk about this stuff. But right now, what can we do to help build muscle mass?
I'll tell you what, Doc, I put a headset on so everyone wouldn't hear me on speaker. Am I coming across pretty good?
Hear you perfectly, man.
Okay. So we have a couple products that's going to help you address your muscle issue. And what Doc is talking about is real simple. You're not really supposed to be losing muscle mass until you get really close to 100 years old. But we got people that start losing when they hit 45, 50 years old. And so a couple things that help build muscle that's kind of under the radar is Transfigure is one of them that builds the fine muscle strands so the muscle can be built. There's two philosophies now. The old philosophy used to be to tear your muscles to smithereens and then let it heal back up and it'll build stronger. Newer philosophy's coming on, and I'm not sure which one's right or wrong. You just got to find out which way serves you best and what serves you best. But there's a couple things we know about muscle. The other philosophy I want to tell you real quick is to where you do light exercise and you do the proper amounts of fiber, which flushes the junk out of your body so it's not absorbed, and you do proper amounts of protein. And our protein or our sizzling is time released. And the muscle building components that's in the Transfigure is not time released. So you might want to, that's a product you can double up on if you're having some issues. But it builds a fine strength. It's kind of like it's the needle that goes in there and weaves things in and out. And so when it comes to building muscles, you want to prep your muscles before you build them. And some people, what are you talking about? You want to hydrate them. I mean, when it comes to muscle health, I mean, my goodness, muscles that dictates your metabolism. And there is a certain body structure you're to have and to operate in. And when you see your body structure going the opposite of whether you're running with the spare tire, or like my situation, I don't gain a lot of muscle in my thighs and stuff like that. I get it right flat smack where everybody can see it in my belly. And so, breaking that down and preparing those muscles. I tell everybody I got an incredible 12-pack, Doc. I just hide it well. I got a cushion so it doesn't get destroyed when I run into something. But, you're going through that. So some people say, well, I'm not real super skinny, and I you can grab my wrist and you're not going to really feel bone. Well, just because there's chubbiness doesn't mean you might have the same problem of this syndrome that Doc's talking about, but you can't see it because it's disguised underneath chub, underneath fat. So you want to prep your muscles. You prep them with hydration. We all have our water system to do that with. You want to prep your muscles before you go work out with some accelerator, which accelerates the ability for your muscles to absorb the nutrition needed and slam the sugar out of the muscles. One thing that will destroy your muscles, just take a bunch of sugar and put it on top of some protein and come back 13 hours later and see what it looks like. And that's what's been sitting in your gut for 13 hours. You put sugar on top of protein, you're going to have a problem. And so you want the right kind of sugar. You do need some sugars to break protein down, but the wrong kind, well, then you put a starch on top of the sugar, and that will neutralize. That makes it compound, just kind of like Play-Doh. It just sits in there and takes 12 to 15 hours to digest instead of the 2 to 3 hours it's supposed to digest. So it's something that really helps your muscles that some people aren't thinking of is our Balance D. It is a massive helper. It has the probiotics to get the bad junk out, the good stuff in, so that your muscles can absorb the right kind of nutrition. So our Sizzling is 100% nutrition for your muscles. Transfigure comes in and helps build the fine little strands of muscles, because muscles kind of like spaghetti. And so it goes in there and builds those little spaghetti noodles in your muscles up and makes them stronger, and which is vital. Accelerates your body and puts those muscles into workout mode, even if you didn't have a chance to go get a major workout in. Now you add that to a workout. So to drink a half a shake before about 45 minutes before you work out, so it feeds your muscles. Then when you're done with the workout and you've had a serious workout, you want to slam a shake as quick as you can with a small spoonful of organic honey, and that will help stimulate the protein into your muscles like right now. Doc, there's a couple things that can help some people.
You bet. Well, DW, I know you're getting ready to jump on an airplane, and thanks for taking the time to jump on the call. You know, and so as people listen to the call and they hear what DW just talked about, I mean, what we want to do is we want to build muscle mass. When you take a look at Siseline, what I really like about, and I use this as a simple explanation to people, is that when you're looking at most protein shakes, they're designed wrong, they're formulated wrong, because they're using what's called a denatured protein. What that means is that, you know, when you look at whey protein is the liquid portion when you make cheese. Anybody from Wisconsin knows that, and you got the liquid portion, and to get the protein, to get the powder out of there, what most companies will do is they'll just simply take that liquid and they cook it. And they heat it up, and as they heat it up, what happens is the water evaporates, and you're left with the proteins. You're left with the powder. But because of the heating process, it denatures it. And the problem with that is that your body doesn't know what to do with denatured protein, and so it can't utilize it to build muscle. Well, with Sisel, we use a different kind of a process, and without getting into it really in depth, I'm just going to say this, is that what we do is we basically filter the proteins out in a way that we don't cook them. And so now they're undenatured. And so the difference with it is that when you're looking at the Siseline shake, the person that's using the average, the over-the-counter type protein shake, for every 20 pounds of weight loss that they have, they lose 5 pounds of lean muscle mass. Again, I'm gonna say it again. For every 20 pounds of weight loss, they lose 5 pounds of lean muscle mass. Well, if you're in a weight loss mode, if you want to lose weight, you don't want to lose muscle. You want to gain muscle. You want to keep the muscle. You know, I'm going to the gym right now. I'm working out, and I'm doing what DW was just talking about. I mean, I'm throwing on extra weights every week. I'm adding extra weight. I'm tearing it up a little bit to build more muscle, because I want that muscle to burn those sugars. I want that muscle to burn those fats. I want those muscles to support my body, because what happens is that when you get sarcopenic obesity, you know, according to some laws of physiology, if you lose muscle mass, you're going to lose bone mass, and you don't want that. So take a look at older folks again. You know, they start having osteoporosis. Is it because of lack of calcium? Is it because of lack of minerals? Well, in some cases, yeah, but in most cases, it's because of lack of activity, which causes muscles to kind of deteriorate. You know, we've always heard if you don't use it, you'll lose it, and that's what happens as you get older, and you don't have to necessarily be older. I mean, you take a look at our society today. I mean, we do most everything on the computer. People go to work, they sit on their butt for 8 hours, then they go home and they sit on their couch for another 4 hours, and then they go to bed. They don't get any workout on their muscles, so their muscles just gradually deteriorate, and they put on extra fat. But they look at, like I said, they look at that BMI scale and they go, oh, I'm normal weight. But so that's what we want to look at. And so what I always tell people is that the Siseline, the difference is for every 20 pounds of weight loss that you have, you're actually gaining 5 pounds of muscle mass. So the other day somebody asked me, they said, hey, is it normal when you're taking Siseline to gain weight? And I said, yeah, in some cases it is, because you're actually building muscle mass, and muscle weighs more than fat. So people need to be aware of that, and then I talk about that. The one product that the DW didn't talk about that I really like for building lean muscle is the 4 Restore product. I mean, oh my gosh, a year ago, you know, using my own family as a testimonial, my dad had been suffering from a type of a cancer, lymphoma, and he lost a lot of muscle mass. He went from being a vibrant, older guy and to being just a what I'm going to say kind of looking like a frail little old man, and you could tell by the way he walked, took short steps, when you grabbed a hold of him, like I was saying earlier, you could grab right onto the bone and you could feel that bone and you're going, now this isn't normal. And so once we got the cancer under control, which is another topic of discussion, then what I did is I thought, okay, we're going to get him doing some exercise, and I got him doing some exercise, and I got him taking the 4 Restore product, and it doesn't take very long. I mean, your body will build muscle mass really quickly if you give it a chance, you give it the right things. And so Dad was eating the right proteins, lean proteins, wild game, organic. And that's all really my family eats, and by last October, so really from April till October, which is 6 months, Dad totally looks like a different person. I mean, if you saw pictures, you'd be saying the same thing that I tell people. I mean, it's just holy cow, different person. And it worked that quickly, and so you want to look at that stuff, and those are things you can talk about, because some people that you encounter during the day, they're gonna say, oh no, I don't have to worry about weight, that's not my issue, right? And so here's something that you can bring up to them. You can just say sarcopenic obesity. Have you heard of that? Sarcopenic obesity, and sometimes you're gonna catch people's attention because you're giving them a new word they've never heard about before, and all of a sudden you can bring up Sisel, and that should be your favorite subject, is how do you bring up Sisel? How do you bring up Sisel to people? And you say, hey, you could say to me, you could say, hey Kurt, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about sarcopenic obesity, but you probably know somebody who does, and do you know what it is? And if you say that to people, they're gonna ask you. They're gonna say, "Wow, what is that?" Right? And now you have them you have their attention. You really have their attention, and now you can bring up your favorite subject, which is talking about the Sisel products. You can talk about the Sisel Lean, and just real simple. Just talk about the denatured and undenatured protein. You don't have to get into all the science behind it. You can talk about the 4 Restore, how it helped boost the testosterone levels, how it helped boost the HGH levels, as well as supporting a good cardiovascular function, lowering your risk of certain type of cardiovascular disease. Again, we can't say prevent or cure or treat or anything like that because the FDA doesn't allow us to. But I mean, you start looking at the studies, and that Nobel Prize given to some of the research behind it, and all of a sudden you start helping people, and they start getting healthier, and that's what we're really here for. So DW, that's really all I had today, and I know we have kind of a short call. Are you still on, or did you have to jump on your plane?
Doc, I'm right here with you. And, I'm kind of excited about this topic because you mentioned 2 things: building lean muscle, which is where it's at, and then making sure that it gets the proper nutrition. And when you mentioned 4 Restore, I just did the happy dance because that is so spot on. So thank you for catching that. A lot of people don't know. Doc and I talk about what we do. We don't sit there and spend hardly any kind of time, because we just don't really necessarily have it on discussing, make sure you say this and you say that. We just come from our heart on what's working. And we come from our heart on what kind of results we're getting in the field with the business partners and preferred customers. And you jump on with Restore 4. Tom is so high on that product, Tom Maurer Sr., it's unreal. And there's a reason for it. It just wakes you up and lights you up. And it's just more nutrition from a different angle to that to the lean muscles that you're trying to build and maintain. Some people are in maintenance. Some people are into building. And some people are into reversing, stopping them from declining and getting the momentum back. And so, Doc, what an awesome job you did today in bringing up a topic and a subject that I don't know if anyone's on this call's heard about it before. Knew that syndrome was available and understood how they can combat it and win the battle over it. And so, but you got to be consistently consistent in taking the products that you need and making sure you're on the Spectrum Max, which lays a great foundation so you can absorb some of these other products. So absorption's everything. Dr. Kirk, that's it for the call today. Any last words from you? We love you, brother. So proud of you. And everyone else, double hugs from Doc and I. And that's it for the call. Remember this.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Remember this. The world is your waiting room. Thanks, Dr. Kurt.
You bet. Thanks.